Hey, this is the other On Cinema podcast, the podcast in which myself, Ramsey, who is very tired because I went on a camping trip the other day and did not sleep, watches through On Cinema at the cinema with my co-host, Caleb, who has never seen the show before. Caleb, how are you doing?
I think I'm doing better than you. I slept one of the nights on the camping trip, and I did injure myself, but it was a minor injury, and I'm recovering speedily.
But you looked super cool doing it. You were slacklining.
No, I wasn't slacklining. I was taking a break from slacklining and jumping across giant rocks.
Oh.
Yeah, and I beefed it into directly, like torpedoed myself, spiral football style directly into the gravel.
Anyway, this is the other On Cinema podcast, the podcast in which myself, Ramsey, a super fan of On Cinema, watches through On Cinema at the cinema with my co-host, Caleb, who has never seen the show before. And today we are going to be talking about season 5 and the first season of Decker.
Hell yeah, I love Decker. So I'm looking forward to more Decker, and we will talk about it.
Cool. All right, jumping into it. So right off the bat, Tim is looking healthy. He is relocated to Jackson Hole. He's riding motorcycles now, and he says he has a Kawasaki, which I think is a really funny detail because Kawasaki is not an American motorcycle whatsoever. It's very much a Japanese racing motorcycle, and they flash a picture of what is supposed to be a Harley. But yeah, he's going on a lot of Patriot rides. Yeah, and then Greg reveals he lost his 500 movies in 500 days list.
Yeah, which is odd because you would think with someone who is so regimented and systemized in his viewing of movies wouldn't lose such a key piece of data.
Well, we'll learn more about that later. But yeah, this first episode is very Blues Brother focused. I can't even remember the name of the movie, but they keep calling Melissa McCarthy the female version of Jim Belushi.
Yeah, she is our generation's Jim Belushi.
So for the popcorn classics, Greg brings out his Blues Brothers digs and reviews Blues Brothers 2000, which I thought was a fun detail because that's a terrible movie.
I mean, it doesn't compare to the first movie, that's for sure. It seems like, of course, Greg would bring out Blues Brothers 2000 and not Blues Brothers, because it seems like Greg refuses to discuss any, well-regarded, widely acclaimed movies in his Popcorn Classics segment.
You don't think so?
No, I don't.
Yeah.
I'm going to interrupt the format of the show just to quickly ask, because Season 5 is like twice as long as previous seasons already, and Season 6 is going to be like twice as long as that. How are you watching the show? Because that's a big time commitment.
What do you mean?
I'm just concerned that, because right, are you watching this with your partner?
No.
Okay, you're watching this alone. Is this like on break at work or?
Well, I travel a lot for my job, so a lot of my job is spending time alone in hotels,
yes,
which is a great time to watch the show.
Yes.
I mean, these seasons are also only about 40 minutes long.
Season 2 is like 150, or season 6 is 150 minutes long.
If you include all of the episodes of Decker, that is true.
Yes.
But that is also because every individual episode of Decker, the first third of every episode is recapping what happened in the prior episode. If you watch like a super cut of season 2 of Decker, it's only like 30 minutes long.
Okay. Cool.
But yes, if anyone is wondering what I do in my free time, I crouch alone in hotels and I just watch On Cinema on repeat while I write down my goblin notes on the show.
And that's not dissimilar to what I do in my free time, which is basically the same thing, just, in a filing cabinet in the city, again, hunched over like L from Death Note in a sparse white room on my computer.
Eating desserts with my bare hands. Who is L's successor? Is it N? Is that his name?
I think so.
See, that's what I do. I have the little toys and I move them around. I got my Tim toy, got my Greg toy, got my Mark toy. I watch On Cinema. I just move them around and I go, I'm going to catch light Yagami by watching On Cinema. Anyway, this is the On Cinema podcast. Man, I'm not on fire today, guys. My brain is zapped. I haven't slept.
Let's just keep it about the movies. Anyway, so we get to episode 2. It's been revealed by Tim that Ayaka has had an abortion.
Yes. He says, I'd like to assure everybody that problem has been evacuated. That's not the right word, I believe he says.
That is exactly what he says.
But I think he says right afterwards, that's not the right word.
Yes.
So don't worry, guys. Tim still supports the pro-life movement, but he also says when you are in that situation, options have to be on the table.
I'm just starting to suspect that Tim's ideology is a little bit inconsistent. Just a bit.
Just a bit, you think so?
Just a bit.
Tim does complain about the coffee situation in LA because he says he's gotten into small batch coffee while in Jackson Hole, and says in LA they don't have any small coffee shops. They only have Starbucks, which is funny because I don't know if you've ever been to LA, but like just as much as Seattle, I would say they're kind of known for having a shit ton of small coffee shops.
Yeah.
I mean, really, most big cities do. But
yeah, most big cities do. It seems like Tim certainly says things like he says that he loves basically not having access to, infrastructure, and J-hole. That's what they call it.
Do you know anything about Jackson Hole?
It's in Wyoming, and in the television show Silicon Valley, one of the villains refers to Jackson Hole as J-hole. So that is the extent of my knowledge.
My understanding of Jackson Hole is it's like where rich people go to vacation if they want to feel like cowboys.
Kind of like Montana. There's areas of Montana like that too. Yeah.
I just remember back in 2019, before Kanye went full on Nazi the first time. Mm-hmm. Man, I feel old to say the first time that there's been multiple phases of him doing that. He was hosting a lot of events in Jackson Hole. So
okay. That makes sense.
That's what makes me ask.
Yeah.
That's what makes me ask that question. Anyway, so episode 2, we get the On Cinema On Guest segment.
Yes.
In which Tim is interviewing Greg. It's a little odd.
Yeah, at first it almost felt like an interrogation, but then it was a green screen and Tim was making Greg look directly into camera. And
so obviously you know what happens after that, but what did you make of that when you first watched it?
Well, you're gonna hate this because this is my note in the moment. I wrote this as it was happening, bro. Well, first off, I said Tim's film buff segment looks like a Chris Hansen interrogation of Greg. But then the second line is, bro, is he getting footage of Greg for Decker without his permission? ?
Oh, you called it?
Yes, I did.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Good on you.
I'm sorry to disappoint you.
No,
All right.
it's not disappointing at all.
Oh, okay. Normally
I-
people hate it when I predict things correctly.
I salute your prediction. Anyway, so episode 3, Tim has a majestic eagle shirt on. He says he's eating a lot of bison, and we get the announcement of hog shots.
Yeah. Hog shots. Well, first off, I got a question about the bison. Is it easier to source bison in Wyoming? Do you know?
I assume so.
Yeah. We sold these like meat bars in Trader Joe's back when I worked there that were I think they're either buffalo or bison, like in the bars. That's the only place I know where I could buy like that kind of meat.
Is bison still endangered? It can't be if you can buy it.
It might have been buffalo then, but I just can't imagine it's easy to source all that bison.
Enough to feed a man.
Yeah, enough to feed a grown adult man in the middle of his midlife crisis. Yes, and hog shots.
What do you think of hog shots?
You know, similar to Decker, I'm very happy for Tim that he's got these dreams and that he is working to fulfill. It's just Tim on his motorcycle, just pictures of Tim on his motorcycle, and then one picture of Tom Cruise on the cover. That's the idea.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's the idea.
Okay. I think there's a market for that.
Tim's the market for that.
Yeah, so like people like Tim.
Yeah. So Jupiter Ascending, this is just like a bad name readings, but my favorite is when Tim keeps trying to say Sean Bean's name and he says Sheen Bean, and then Greg goes, no, it's Sean Penn.
Scene Bean as well, and the woman Shannon Tatum. Those are my favorites. And Tim also calls Jupiter Ascending a sci-fi superhero movie. Is it?
I've never seen Jupiter Ascending.
Seen it. I totally
know nothing about it.
got it confused with Cloud Atlas, I believe.
Which is a very different movie that I've also never seen.
Okay.
I just know that one has
I've never seen it either.
Tom Hanks.
Well, isn't wait. Cloud Atlas has Tom Hanks?
Pretty sure.
Okay. Cool.
Who did you think was in Cloud Atlas?
Mila Kunis.
That's Jupiter Ascending.
Yep. I'm still confused on those movies, I guess.
Wait, let's look this up. Maybe Mila Kunis is in both of them.
Look out, guys. We're having a live internet interaction right now. We're looking up information in the podcast. We've never done this before.
Mila Kunis is not in Cloud Atlas.
Oh, okay.
Mila Kunis is in Cloud Atlas.
No. Jupiter Ascending.
I'm really tired.
The words are right in front of you.
I'm so sorry. This is unprofessional. Fuck, man. You need to fire me, Caleb.
I'm not going to be co-host anymore. I'm going to, fail upwards and to be a host of the show.
Anyway, Greg really loved the movie, and he tries to slide his bags of popcorn into Tim's review.
Yes, and they argue over the imaginary boundaries of the imaginary popcorn, like children. It's pretty great.
Yeah, I did think it was interesting. Tim mentions his son in this episode. Greg looks really disturbed when Tim brings this up.
Yeah, about as disturbed as I was.
Yeah, and he says it's from an estranged marriage. Do you think that's the marriage from at the beginning of the show or a different marriage?
Different marriage.
Different marriage.
That's my guess.
Yeah, Greg says, well, yeah, no, it had to have been because Greg says, you were married 15 years ago to who?
Yeah. To who? As if he'd know who that is, you know?
But that suggests that it was a different person than the person he was married to at the beginning of the show.
Well, because, right, discussion of kids would have happened earlier in the show while Tim was dealing with his wife early on in the show. Like, because they would have talked about custody and stuff. So, yeah, it must be from a previous marriage.
Yes. So, moving on, we get the first episode of Decker. Just want to point out, Decker says he is in Afghanistan.
Yes.
But he's clearly just outside of LA.
Whoa. I'm going to mention this just, I had it noted for later when they say that he's in New York in a future episode. But, yeah, I've hiked that area. That's like, if that's the same spot that it looks like that I've hiked, that's just behind the Hollywood sign, right?
No, I have to assume that's where they're at. I mean,
I've been there.
Tim doesn't have the motivation, work ethic, or budget to go much farther than that.
Well, he can ride his freaking hog to J-Hole and back.
Yeah, but he can't bring his camera crew out there,
true. Yeah.
let alone Mark, which we're going to see here in a second.
I mean, is that brown face? Was that count as brown face?
It doesn't count as brown face and I'm going to say why. One, he's not in any sort of makeup. Two, he's wearing an Italian checkered tablecloth over his head. And I've noticed this detail in the past when I've watched this, but I never noticed how strange it is that the rope that they have tying Mark's tablecloth over his head is not a cheap piece of rope. It's not even like an extension cord. It's a vacuum hose, which would be so much harder to get and more expensive to get than either of those things, which makes me think like they were like, oh, fuck, we have to get something to tie to Mark's head, and that was just like whatever was in the back of Tim's car. Did you ever watch Mark Proch's K-Strass videos?
K-Strass? I don't think so.
You're not familiar with K-Strass?
I've heard of it, but no, I'm not familiar.
Mark's yo-yo videos?
I do. Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Good Lord,
Kenny Strasser.
How are these guys so legendary, like, all the way back?
Well,
that's crazy, because Greg is Neil Hamburger, and then Mark is K. Strauss.
I was reading about how Tim and Greg got involved with Mark was because they were trying to develop a show for Adult Swim based on the K-Strass character, which fell through, but then they ended up just bringing him into On Cinema because they liked working with him.
Heck yeah.
Origin story there.
Did I tell you ever that I went as Colin? Oh, yeah, I did.
Yeah, you did. You mentioned it a few episodes back.
Yeah. I got to share the photos with you.
Yeah, I'd like to see those.
My the barber I went to was very pleased.
Wait, did you like shave?
I went full method.
Wow. Okay, you didn't mention that.
I went to the cheapest barber in town, and I had him shave the most exaggerated receding hairline possible into my young, full of hair head. And he was dying laughing the entire time. I asked him if anyone had ever done this before. He said no. I think he was probably the happiest person with my costume out of anyone.
Did people know who you were?
I did have actually a few people come up. Some people complimented me, and some people deliberately were as awkward and annoying as they possibly could be because they were trying to be an energy vampire as well.
I see.
Yes.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
So back in like 2014 or 2015, I went out into Halloween town, which is what I call Capitol Hill in Seattle on Halloween. Words. But my costume, I was a men's rights activist.
Oh, God.
So I was wearing a fedora, and I had grown out and shaved my neck beard, and I was wearing like checkered shorts and a trench coat.
Yes.
And I had like pamphlets I was giving out to people that were, it was just like gibberish that was just like men's rights activists, like buzzwords, but that were also like, Jenny, please come back, stuff like that. Nobody got the joke.
Oh.
Most people were just kind of disturbed.
Yeah.
And like confused.
Yeah.
But
yeah, people who didn't know people who weren't familiar with the show at all, they just thought that I had a terrible receding hairline. They just thought I was like getting old way too soon.
we got episode 4. We open up and Tim has a horrible wound on his face.
Yeah, I just finished season 1 of True Detective, and he looks like Matthew McConaughey at the end of that show.
Time is a flat circle.
I was practicing his voice, like after the show ended. Couldn't get enough of Russ Cole.
Can you do it? Can you say time is a flat circle?
And that time is a flat circle. Getting there.
And what I do is I drink.
You know, they say hippos roll around in the mud as a form of sunscreen. No, I'm not quite hitting it. Oh well. I practiced it a lot after the show ended and then kind of fell off since then.
All right, we'll come back next week with our best rust.
Our best rusts.
So yeah, Tim has a horrible wound on his face.
Yes.
Greg doesn't have anything nice to say about the first episode of Decker. We get the explanation of why Tim has this horrible wound. Can you explain it to us, Caleb?
Well, I mean, Tim does not. I mean, here's the thing. If you get a horrific injury, you've always got to have a Heath Ledger Joker style story about how you got it, because otherwise the real story is going to be really, really lame. And that's exactly what Tim does, is he doesn't have a story in his back pocket to make himself look cool. He tells the truth. Just a little out of character, I guess. But yeah, he rolled his hog into a handicap parking space, and a lady was yelling at him that he can't park there. He angrily tripped over his kickstand and rolled himself and the bike on top of himself and slammed his face into the pavement. So he managed to crash into his own body into his own parked hog.
You want to know how I got these scars? No, I'm not going to do it.
Okay, question.
What?
Were you a huge fan of The Dark Knight and Heath Ledger's performance as Joker when it came out?
I mean, I like that movie.
It's a great movie.
I've always liked that movie. I've never been like...
You never stood in front of the mirror and practiced Heath Ledger's Joker? You told me you were a theater nerd.
No.
Okay.
No, I have not. No, I have not. I'm so glad you're bringing this up, because this allows me to bring up my favorite piece of internet content is of that kid on YouTube doing that scene from the Dark Knight, and he says, "I'm the Joker, baby."
It's so good.
You know what I'm talking about?
I know exactly what you're talking about.
My partner. So my partner has this really funny story where they were hooking up with someone and they were making out, and there was like an awkward moment, and the person they were making out with said, "I'm the Joker." In the awkward moment. And they were like, "No, I'm not attracted to you anymore." And I was like, I was like, I'm just saying, if you did that to me.
Yeah, I'd be like,
just like,
I'd pull the wedding ring out right then and there. Okay, well, if you're bringing that up, I'll bring out just real quick. I was hooking up with someone the day after wearing my Mark Proch method acting costume.
So you had the haircut?
Yeah, so we were in the middle of going at it, and she just starts laughing out of nowhere, and I'm like, what's so funny? She's like, your hair, and yeah, so that killed the moment at least for a few minutes. I was just dying laughing at that as well.
You know, I got to commend your confidence in that situation. But yeah, anyway, Tim has tried to assault. So Tim has tried to assault an elderly woman. He justifies being in the handicap spot. He says he can do it because he has a motorcycle.
He can do whatever he wants because he has a motorcycle.
But yeah, Tim is basically currently blind.
And film is a visual medium.
Decker, episode 2. So Decker has this briefcase he got from Abdul, and he needs to break the code because there's a bomb in the briefcase, and you can't just rip it open, as suggested by President Davidson. And he says, there's no way I'm going to blow up the White House, not to mention the founding fathers.
Yeah, like they're entombed in the White House.
And then, is this the first shot we get of Decker pointing a gun on President Davidson? Did he do that?
He definitely threatened the president in a previous episode, for sure.
But yeah, this is going to be a long-standing trope of him just constantly finding reasons to pull a gun out on President Davidson.
It's always a great move. Yeah, if you don't know where else to take a scene, to just pull a gun on someone, it always provides fertile ground for interesting things.
Yes.
Oh, before we move on, I just want to say Tim loves Dwayne Johnson, who is his rock.
Yes.
Yeah, that's all I have.
It's a good line. It's a good line.
Yes.
All right, so we get to episode 5. Tim has some slick shades on because he is basically blind now. Wow. And the producer of the show is reading him the movie details off screen into a mic in his earpiece. And so he's very slowly reading the movie details while Greg is muttering how he could just do it for him.
Well, yeah, but Tim does not want Greg to steal any more of the spotlight from Tim than necessary. Also, Tim specifically is wearing Oakley's, and the earpiece is the kind of earpiece that, you know, basically Tim looks from the neck up like Agent Smith if he just got out of a spat with Neo, because he's still got that gash on the side of his head as well.
Yep. But yeah, so we get to the movie reviews. Tim really loves the sounds and dialogue of Guardians of the Galaxy. And, you know, Greg is upset that Tim was not actually able to view the movies. So he gives Guardians of the Galaxies 5 bags of popcorn and a cane for the blind.
Yes.
So next movie they are reviewing a biopic about James Brown, which Tim says a very racist line.
Very racist.
Which he says B.B. King is about as black as I get.
Yeah.
Which, out of all, I don't know, it's just odd that he chose B.B. King.
I mean, B.B. King's pretty black.
Yeah, that's...
Yeah.
And
I'd say he's about as black as... Ray Charles or, God damn it,
James Brown?
James Brown. I keep wanting to say like King George for some reason, and I know that's not
that's
right.
Not James Brown.
That is
or
not James Brown,
B.B. King
or B.B. King.
But I found it very funny that Tim mistakenly thinks James Brown was blind.
Yes, yeah.
Ray Charles was blind.
Very quickly mentions that. Yeah, no. A second musical biopic about a blind black musician.
Yeah. Oh, we completely forgot to bring it up earlier, but there was an on location in which Greg goes to a scene from Oh God, which I bring up now because he goes to another scene from Oh God, and Tim cuts him off to ask him why he's doing that.
Yeah. And I'll say, even through the whole series, the whole season, I still don't really know why he's doing that. Maybe he just really likes that movie and all the locations are nearby.
Well, have you ever seen that movie?
No?
I haven't either.
Yeah, I don't think most people have.
It's pretty good.
So you hear? From Greg?
Yeah.
My mom's a huge John Denver fan, and we've never seen that movie, so
I didn't even know John Denver was an actor.
Me neither. Learning all kinds of things this season.
All right, so Decker, episode 3. So we learned Tim has used footage of Greg, as you previously explained, to superimpose into the episode. He is Special Agent Kinkton. I really love that name because we get Decker, Tim Heidecker, and Greg Turkington.
Wow.
I gotcha. So you were surprised by something. The superimposed clips are just really funny. I really love the detail that the briefcase code is 555 because the only times they have Greg saying numbers on the shows when he's saying five bags of popcorn.
Yeah, yeah. I do. Well, I want to say first off with the Decker episode, the plot. And, my suspension of disbelief was a little bit rattled because couldn't Decker, couldn't Decker have shot the briefcase from a safe distance? Maybe over, I guess, yeah, if they did it in like Canada or something and it could have instigated international war. So never mind. Sorry.
If there's anything I've learned in life, I've learned this phrase, DQD. Don't question Decker.
Okay. I will not question it. I'm wondering if they're filming the green screen scenes with a green light because everyone is covered in green.
It's quite possible.
My favorite part of Greg's appearances in Decker are the face swaps.
Yeah. So I have to ask, why do you think Tim did this? Like, because there's no reason he has to have Greg on the show. Like,
yes, there is.
Presumably, he wouldn't want to have Greg on the show. Clearly, it's like him trying to humiliate Greg, I guess. But I don't know. I just think it's so weird.
No, there's two reasons why. One, humiliate Greg, or at least try to, and two, limited social resources for Tim.
Sure.
I mean, he just rides his hog alone all day now.
That is true. All right, so we're moving on to the next episode of On Cinema. Tim has the site back. We get a Hog Shots update. Tom Cruise has not replied about being on the cover. Tim is threatening to give Tom Cruise negative reviews if he does not get back to him. And we find out Greg has seen the episode of Decker and is very upset.
Yeah, I mean, they used his likeness without his permission. Even though legally they may have that permission.
I mean, Tim does say that anything he does on here is his property, and I believe he says being part of the On Cinema family means I have control of everything on here. To which I get one of my favorite Greg lines of all time, in which he says, "Being part of a family doesn't mean being raped by dad." It's a startling line. Because
that might be my favorite. Seems rough, but it is very hilarious in that context. And so far, it is my favorite line from the show.
Yeah, because Greg doesn't usually get that direct, let alone that dramatic.
No, but he's rightfully pissed. And I just want to say that Tim defending his... Tim is a true patriot defending his God-given right to be a complete fucking asshole.
Well, he says it's his constitutional right to use Greg's footage because of the Freedom of Information Act. But yeah, Tim gets legitimately scary at the end of this because he starts
demon voice.
Yeah, screaming and Tim the actor is pretty good at that.
Yeah. Have you, okay, this is some deep ball knowledge, but are you familiar? I feel so bad. I feel like I'm conjuring a demon, by even saying this name, but are you familiar with Sam Hyde?
Oh, yes, I am.
Shit, you're the only other person in my entire life.
I know a lot about. Do you want to go into a Sam Hyde digression?
Let's start off in the wading pool and see how far we feel like going.
I need to preface this, a very early fan of Sam Hyde's before I realized he was just a Nazi. Because when he came up on the internet was around the same time I was getting into on cinema, and I thought he was doing a character.
Yeah.
And some of his early stuff is kind of funny. That fake TED Talk he did was kind of funny. The first time I watched an Inconvenient Anime, if you're familiar with
I haven't watched that, no.
So an Inconvenient Anime is in which he pulls a prank by he manages to book doing a talk at an anime convention, which is him giving a history talk about the Buster Sword from Final Fantasy VII. Yeah, the premise of it's very funny, but it devolves into this weird talk about where he's just talking about how all like Japanese men are perverts, and like it goes into like weird Obama like race territory. But he had people like block off the entrance to the showroom he was in so people couldn't leave and stuff. And like at the time I thought it was funny because I thought he was just making fun of anime nerds. But now my whole context of knowing who he is now and that he is just like a white supremacist peppers that a little bit. But I'm assuming you're gonna bring up his interaction with Tim Heidecker.
Yeah, with around the canceling of $1 Million Extreme, and I mean, I feel like neither party looked great, and like Tim, like it's you see like. It's interesting to see Tim not feeling confident.
Are you specifically talking about the time that Sam Hyde called into his podcast and he kind of like shut him down?
Yeah,
I yelled him down, basically.
Yeah, because Sam called in was blaming Tim for getting his show canceled.
So there's actually a lot of context behind that. So the reason why Tim reacted that way towards him in that specific interaction was that was not the first time Sam Hyde had called into his show.
I figure.
Blaming him.
Yeah.
And also there had been years of like Sam's fans basically sending him and his family death threats. Like over the internet. And again, so over $1 Million Extreme getting canceled, that actually had nothing to do with Tim Heidecker. Sam seems to think that it did. And in interviews, Tim has made it very clear that he didn't even know who Sam Hyde was until the show got canceled. And something he's even stated after the fact was like, I have no pull at Adult Swim. Like my fucking show got canceled at Adult Swim. Like, but it's really interesting because Tim, across his social media, stayed in character as his right-wing persona for years until that happened. And he kind of made like a public statement being like, yeah, I'm not going to do this anymore because I want to make it very clear what I'm doing is satire, because we've gotten to a point where it's not entirely clear. Like if the shit is satire or not.
Especially
which was he did specifically because of Sam Hyde, because there were so many people like me who thought that Sam Hyde was doing a parody of like racist, like white supremacists.
Yeah.
Like I had just assumed that.
Yeah. It's that kind of thing where, at least like in my friend group, we would always try to like say and do like the most offensive stuff amongst our like little group of chuckle fucks, and that definitely, we pulled back on that a lot when like real ass Nazis were having like clear, explicit political power.
Yeah. No,
once that started happening, it's like, oh, like racism is very much still here, and now even more like center stage, and it's just like, oh, this isn't okay anymore. It's not fun. It's not funny anymore.
Yeah, I think there was a short period of time where you could sort of get away with doing that sort of edgelord humor.
Yeah.
Because my friend group did the same thing. I mean, I think there was we were all doing it with the, sense that we were satirizing or trying to satirize, racist, shit and just things we had observed. I mean, because we all grew up during the Bush administration and like just everyone was so like just ultra racist during that time. Like it was so normalized that after that there was this period of time where I feel like there was some sort of like catharsis to like pretending to be like that and kind of making fun of those people. But yeah, like you said, that was also under the assumption where everyone kind of thought like, oh, we've moved past this, and then it became very clear, no, we have not, we can't. It
was like, oh, like, this is all clearly tongue in cheek, like no one would seriously be like this.
But then it turns out that quite a lot of people were, and then came into power.
Unfortunately. But I was just bringing that up because I didn't have that full context because I've gone down the rabbit hole a bit, enough to kind of just see the general outline of the trajectory of like that show.
So part of why like Sam Hyde's fan base had been sending Tim like death threats was actually even before $1 Million Extreme even, I think, got a season on Adult Swim. A lot of those people were fans of Tim and Eric because like Tim and Eric and like Tom Goes to the Mayor was very apolitical. I feel like anyone could get into those shows. And then once Trump started rising, Tim started aggressively like satirizing Trump. Like you see it on cinema. He has all of his anti-Trump songs. And once he started doing that, he started basically like getting death threats and shit from Sam Hyde's fans because they were fans of Tim and Eric and they were like mad that he wasn't on board with the Trump shit.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, you can tell who someone is by how they act, but also like their fans. Like I don't imagine. I remember back when Alex Jones was still a thing, and like he would talk about these like interactions with his fans, and like I saw some footage of it, and it was just like, oh man, it would suck to create that kind of fan base. Oh my gosh.
So speaking of which, this is a little off topic, but have you seen the clip of Conor O'Malley interacting with Alex Jones during Trump's first inauguration? Conor O'Malley goes up to Alex Jones with a microphone. He's like, Alex Jones, I'm a big fan. Anyway, I got swamp foot. And he's like explaining this like esoteric made up medical condition he has, and Alex is just like, oh yeah, that sounds really hard. Anyway,
Eric Andre as well has had interaction with Alex Jones, very similar. But yeah, the Alex Jones like fans like all like literally kicked him out like with their feet and fists.
Yeah, he has a small fan base now because he basically went back on everything he believed in.
Well,
not that he ever really believed in any of it, but what he sold for the last 20 years.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've been following any of the new Tim Heidecker-led InfoWars stuff, but...
Oh, shoot. I've got to catch up on that.
I'm going to say it again. I don't think Tim Heidecker's Alex Jones impression is very funny, but it seems like the whole thing is dedicated to just making Alex Jones seem as silly as possible. The new mascot of InfoWars is the InfoWars elf.
But yeah, I brought up the whole Sam Hyde thing because again, it was just like, oh, this is like the first time seeing Tim break as like a person, like a character is not there. It's just Tim, and seeing him like frustrated as well. And so it was like, oh, I get like a taste of like kind of part of probably what he's mining for the frustration of the character that he plays.
Yeah. Yeah, because Tim is so good at playing angry that I have to imagine that he's got some real anger.
I think he has some real anger
that he's dealing with.
I think he's got some kind of Larry David. I think not quite to that degree, but I think that he does have like kind of this Larry David, like, you know, if little micro things get to him and like kind of build up. And he's got some frustrations that kind of build up under the surface.
That's layered with confusing amounts of self-hatred,
Yes.
but that aren't
Yeah.
too serious.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Decker's episode 4. The terrorists are going to blow up the Super Bowl, but they are going to blow up Central Park today. And I think a very funny detail is that he asks to get a helicopter to go to Central Park, but then he immediately starts going there on his motorcycle, which he is very, very, very slowly driving for several minutes.
Several minutes. So it's long enough that the royalty-free music that they use plays through and has to be restarted. And obviously, I'm sure it's in your notes, a cyclist passes him on the downhill.
Yep. But yeah, he drives to Central Park, which again is very clearly outside of LA. Abdul is there with a bomb. He tells Decker it's Allah's will to blow up Central Park, but the subtitles say Alan's
will.
Which is very funny.
Yeah, and they have a very intense fight.
In my notes, I said very silly fight.
Whoa. That's slander.
I'm not honoring the deaths. Sorry, Goliath is just ripping a very long fart.
I might have to step out. Depending on how nuclear that is. We'll find out.
His farts, since I switched him to the new food, haven't been as bad.
Okay, good.
But he throws the bomb in the air, and it explodes into the American flag.
Yeah, which I thought that was very thoughtful of the terrorist Mark Brock to do, is to make the bomb blow up in the shape and color of the American flag, which can be seen from space.
All right, moving on to the next episode of On Cinema. Greg apparently is now into being into Decker. He's seen it, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah. What do you think of that?
Talking about Greg?
Yeah, why is Greg now into being in Decker?
Because everyone keeps telling him how happy they are with him and his performance.
We skipped over it On Cinema after Cinema.
Yes.
Which I don't know why they did it like this, because this is literally the only time they ever break it up like that. Which, like, I don't understand why they had to separate a separate segment for it, because it's like 90 seconds long.
You know, I think it's just the kind of decision that Tim, the character, would make.
I will say, in this segment On Cinema After Cinema, and this is going to mean nothing to you, Caleb, but
Okay.
Tim mentions that his son lives in Arizona, and that's all I'm going to say
Okay.
to the current fans.
Well, what I'll say about that is that if his son lives in Arizona, then his son shouldn't have any problem living in Wyoming either, because I think both places have a severe lack of things
To do.
Yeah.
Unless you live on Lake Havasu.
Lake Havasu. Okay.
But yeah, Greg's now into being into Decker because everybody's writing him cards, which may or may not be written by him.
Yes. The veracity of those cards doesn't matter so much as the feelings it spurs in Tim. Because Tim is getting very jealous and annoyed that his vanity project is not feeding his vanity, but is instead feeding Greg's.
Yeah. They review the Expendables 3. I don't know if you noticed, but he mentions that Tom Cruise and Tom Hanks are in the Expendables 3, which they are not.
Whoa. Why didn't Tom Cruise and Hanks both agree?
I mean, that was already a stacked cast, so.
It was already a stack cast. I mean, you got Don Lemon in there.
Yeah, Tim makes it very, very clear Decker is not inspired by James Bond.
No. It was surprisingly inspired by 80s action movies. Who knew?
We get another on God location. Tim makes it clear that he's getting fed up with the Oh God segments.
Yes, and deprives him of another mailbag segment because he already squandered his on location segment with another Oh God location.
Yeah. And then let's see, we get the Decker finale, which is mostly just Decker berating President Davidson, and then Davidson talking about how great Decker is.
Yes. To a bunch of people who have popcorn, to families sitting around watching a news segment while munching on popcorn.
And then episode 8 of On Cinema, Greg gets Tim flowers and champagne to celebrate the finale of Decker, which I thought was kind of sweet.
Yeah, some beautiful brown flowers in a primary blue wrapping.
Yeah. Which Tim uses the moment to inform Greg his character won't be in the next season of Decker.
Yeah. Well, because the enemy's going to be the CIA. They're not really going to need to, like, use the CIA. Wouldn't really make sense, you know?
And then they talk about the sequel to Sin City, which, couple of things here. Tim says that the sequel to Sin City reminds him of Sin City. Greg uses this as an opportunity to explain why Kington should be in the next season of Decker, because they got rid of all the old characters from the first, Sin City.
Yeah.
And Greg also says that Back to the Future Part 2 was a huge flop because they got rid of all the characters from the first one. Pretty sure Back to the Future Part 2 is like the most successful out of all of them, but
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure they maintain all of the same characters because they weave in and out of the previous movie.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know if you have any notes for this episode.
Well, we get the fourth on God
Yes.
on location.
Yeah.
And Tim is just, I think he threatens to fire Greg over this.
Yes. Yeah. Which is justifiable because, again, I don't know anyone else who's ever heard of the movie Oh God, let alone seen it or care enough to know where the shooting locations were.
It's just one of those Greg things. Very funny.
Yeah. And they skip to a popcorn classic because Greg cannot be trusted with on-location segments anymore.
Which is a popcorn classic they've already done before. And Greg can't remember if they've already done it before, but Tim does remember that they've done it before. And they did, in fact, do it last season. I went back and looked.
Yeah, because they're like, no, we did Q&A, not IQ.
No, they did IQ before.
Yeah. And Greg is not even excited about it, it seems, but that's because he's having to do a last minute
Yeah,
fill-in.
Greg doesn't do well on his feet.
Well,
Unless
really?
he's being called out for lying.
Oh, he is.
And then he does do well on his feet.
He does. Yeah, he's really good at spinning some yarn, as they say, to avoid accepting a truth that he doesn't want to accept.
Yep. All right, so episode 9 opens with Tim explaining that he's super hungover because he was partying with some bikers, and Greg immediately asks him if he told him about the accident.
Yeah, I'm guessing not.
Guessing not. Tim mentions he got a tattoo, which I don't think ever comes up again. I'd love to see. Well, actually,
you would know. I wouldn't.
You started watching season 2 of Decker, right?
No, I haven't.
Oh, you haven't?
I haven't.
Okay, well,
So
save that note for next episode because I'm making a connection here I didn't make before.
Okay.
But yeah, they're reviewing a Pierce Brosnan movie. Every time they do, Greg can't not bring up Bond. I just think it's really funny that Pierce Brosnan is Greg's favorite Bond because he's like widely considered to be like those are like the worst Bond movies, right?
I think GoldenEye's well received, but yeah, the other Pierce Brosnan movies I don't think are very well liked at all. I mean, the like last one they did was like really, really bad, especially the ending of it.
And that's kind of like what made them do the sort of like gritty reboot with
like this is getting
what's his face
too ridiculous even compared to like the 70s movies or whatever. Well, also I just want to say that it is not just a movie with Pierce Brosnan. It is a kind of 80s action style movie with Pierce Brosnan starring. It's almost like designed to challenge Greg and Tim's,
movie sensibilities.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. You would think it would create a bridge, optimistically. You would hope that it would create a bridge between the two, but No, it does not.
No, the only time bridges are made between the two is when Tim is desperate.
Oh, yeah. True.
Yeah, it's revealed at the end of this episode that Ayaka, in fact, did not have the abortion and has had their baby, who she named Tom Cruise Heidecker.
Yep, she had the baby and is holding a doll.
I didn't even notice that.
I always notice it now ever since American Sniper. I was like, that's not a baby. That's a thing in a blanket.
I've never seen American Sniper.
I have not watched it all the way through. It's a very long movie.
I just know that the guy that movie is based off of was like actually kind of like a psycho.
I mean, if you're a sniper, I feel like you kind of have to be.
Well, it wasn't that a thing like he turned out to be like a huge crazy racist, and then like a lot of the book was just like not true.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Or something like that.
I mean, who's gonna argue? If you're a true patriot,
I bet Tim would love American Sniper. But yeah, once it's revealed that Ayaka had the baby, Tim has fled the scene.
Yeah, he's just gone.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, and so we get to the last episode. Tim announces he is leaving the show. He's not going to be back, and he is moving to Jackson Hole.
Yep.
Permanently. I forget what the movie they review is, but Charlize Theron is in it, and he calls her Charles Theron, which I thought was pretty funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, he has not watched the movie because it has too many kids in it.
Yeah, you can't do that baby stuff. I can't handle that right now.
Yeah, and Greg reveals that Ayaka has come back to America and is trying to get a hold of Tim, and Tim is ignoring her, and Ayaka is currently living with Greg. Which he notes because it makes it very hard to watch movies in his apartment.
Yeah, there's a baby there.
And he found his missing 500 days, his 500 movies in 500 days list in Ayaka's bag.
Again, this is another thing that I don't understand how that happened. Because I don't think Ayaka stole it.
Well, Tim put it there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He was trying. Yeah.
Yeah.
He planted it. He wanted Ayaka to see him.
Well, and Greg kind of alludes to that. He because
okay.
Yeah.
Sorry,
it's okay. But yeah, the season ends with some choice Tim lines. He says to Greg, "You're probably going to jump off a bridge without the show." And I think the last line he says is, "I am a perfect person. The people around me are full of shit."
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And then it ends with the cover of Hot Shots.
Well, promotional cover only.
Promotional cover of Hot Shots. Yeah, so that was a long episode. I was having a hard time because I'm tired as fuck. I apologize to the listeners if some of that was hard to listen to. Hopefully I can edit it into a listenable state. But gonna end the episode like I always do. How are you feeling about the show, Caleb?
The more Decker we have, the better I feel about the show, to be honest. I love Decker, and I can't wait for next season because I visually see in the timeline that it is substantially Decker.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get about twice as much Decker next season. I'm excited to talk about it. I think the second season of season 2 is like peak Decker.
Yeah, I like this season more than last, and seems like they've sowed enough seeds for the future to be promising, which sounds weird to say about this show.
Because we're 5 seasons in. Keep in mind the first 5 seasons, I think they filmed all of this within 2 years. So next week we're going to talk about season 6 as well as season 2 of Decker. Until next time, this has been the Other on Cinema at the Cinema podcast. We have an Instagram. If you want to follow us, we're just the Other on Cinema podcast on Instagram. If you want to shoot us a message and tell us about the movies. But until next time, adios, amigos.